Hey, what's up guys, BenzoFigures here, and today I will be taking a look at the Power Princess figure by Marvel Legends. Let's begin. So in the middle of recording this video, I'm not gonna lie, I really wasn't feeling it. I don't know anything about Power Princess, and I feel like I wouldn't do it any justice. So instead, I will be repainting Power Princess into Wonder Woman. So that being said, I hope you enjoy this video, and if you want to know my thoughts about the figure, Power Princess is 10 out of 10. Go get it. So as a reference, I will be using Machu Toys Wonder Woman color palette for this repaint, given with a few liberties. So a couple things that we're going to need is some primer and some paints. Personally, I really like using this Vallejo primer. It only really needs one coat of primer and that'll do. So instead of using my favorite metallic color, gunmetal, I'll be using silver just because it's a lighter metallic. And for gold, I'll be using this polished gold over the gold plastic. For the red, I'll be using vermilion. And for blue, I'll be using a slightly darker shade of blue, it's just called dark blue. So to recap, going to be using silver, polished gold, vermilion, and dark blue for this repaint for Wonder Woman. So before painting, let's go ahead and figure prep and disassemble the figure. First, I'm going to be popping off some loose parts and removing the head sculpt and hands. After that, let's go heat up the plastic so that way we can remove the torso and legs, so that way we could go paint in between. I personally like using this electric kettle at the lowest heat setting, just to avoid accidentally warping the plastic. I really only need the plastic to be hot enough to pop the figure's parts off, so after the kettle is ready, just pour the hot water into a cup. And I like to go put the figure in the hot water for about 2 to 5 minutes. And yeah, so I will be right back until then. So fast forwarding, gotta shake the water off this figure, and yeah, the parts come off super easily. Sometimes just needs a little bit more pressure, but yeah. So now just wait for the figure to dry before applying primer and paint. Now that the figure is fully disassembled, it's prime time, or primer time? So I'm going to only apply primer to the parts I'm going to be painting on. In hindsight, I probably should have primed the gold parts as well, since later on, the gold paint didn't really attach to the gold plastic easily. So that's my bad, but oh well, live and learn. This is my first time using gator clips, and it does make it easier to paint because I could just move the parts around without accidentally touching the wet primer or paint. But yeah, after the primer is all applied, I would wait a few hours just to be sure that the primer is fully dried before painting onto it. That's because if the primer isn't dry, you're just mixing the paint with the primer and it'll just give you issues later on, so it's always good to be safe. So now it is painting time. So before applying the paint to the figure, be sure to thin your paint with water and mix it till the paint is like a milk-like consistency. The reason being is that when you add multiple coats of paint onto it, it won't be chunky. For the first coat of paint, the purpose is to coat the figure to the places where you'll be applying the colors to. Typically the primer will still kind of show through, and that's okay, like no worries. After applying 2 to 3 coats of paint, I'll cover up the primer pretty nicely. Just be patient and wait for the parts to dry before adding another coat. I like to jump between painting different pieces of the figure, so that way it gives it time to dry in between painting parts. So unfortunately, I lost my dark blue paint in between recording, and so instead I'll be mixing flat blue and Prussian blue, about 2 to 1 parts with dark Prussian blue. And yeah, as you saw with the gold polish paint isn't really attaching to the gold plastic too well. It could still be fixed with a couple more layers to even out the paint, but yeah, applying primer to this beforehand would have easily solved this problem. Okay, real quick, I'm using Mr. Clear Matte Spray after the paint is all dried and ready. I'm not going to be recording any of the footage here just because I don't want the sealant to accidentally land on my lenses and ruin the footage or my phone. So yeah, so after spraying about 2 coats of sealant, let's begin assembling the figure. The legs are made out of pretty gummy plastic, so I was able to just push it right in without heating the plastic. So unfortunately, I messed up pretty bad here. I tried to jam the torsos together and the paint rubbed right off. After asking a couple of people what happened, I was told that even though the paint and sealant had fully dried and I waited hours, the paint probably wasn't fully cured. So in future projects, I should probably wait for a full 24 hours after applying sealant to it, just to be on the safe side. But that being said, it's not too bad, and it's still pretty redeemable. So after putting the pieces together, I'll be adding another coat of paint to fix it up. And here we are. I added additional paint, sprayed more sealant, and waited a full day to wait for the paint to fully cure, and here she is. This Power Princess figure is a 10 out of 10 and is probably one of the best Marvel Legends to come out today. And so by repainting Power Princess into Wonder Woman, this might be the best Wonder Woman figure to come out, which is wild that Marvel probably just made the best Wonder Woman figure. So guys, if you liked this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you'd like to see more content like this.